Beautiful voices do a song, you can't help it. KK Fosu and Mr. Pat Thomas with Odode Dami. But yonder day yet. Yawaha. Good evening, Mr. Innocent.
The panel and good evening to your listeners.
All right. How have you been?
It's been quite well today. Thanks
Okay.
for asking. Yourself?
By the grace of God, pretty good. I'm told there is intense traffic or serious traffic on your main road over there.
Yes, absolutely. It's been really hectic and very frustrating.
Charlie. Anyway.
But life must go on.
Of course. Life must go on. Okay, so listeners, we are now doing topic time on the Orange Lounge. And last week we began a very important discussion trying to look at safety at home before, during, and after the Christmas festivities. And we couldn't really finish a lot of the things. So what is going to happen is we are doing part 2 of what we started last week, and we have an expert in Mr. Innocent Asima. Mr. Asima is a professional health and safety officer, and he has so much to share with us. So, if you can, please do a little recap for us from last week, and then we'll pick it up from there.
Okay, so thank you, Henry. So from last week, we started looking at certain basic safety tidbits that we need to take note of before the festive season. We looked at preventing accidents, and we looked at fires. We looked at securing our environment. We also looked at how we can prepare for increased activities with people coming in. We also looked at setting the stage for a smooth festive season. We discussed some basic tidbits also within the kitchen, where we discussed the need for us to inspect especially our cylinder hoses, the cylinders we use, gas cylinder hoses, and try as much as we can that we also give the information that some of those hoses expire over a period of time that is being used for that to be changed. We also did give some hint bits as to how to see that the hoses are either functional or are likely to have expired and needed to be replaced. Where we looked at them being hardened, their properties fading off, and so those needs to be changed. We also looked at some basic things to look out for in our fire extinguishers, especially in our vehicles, and we also looked at how we can improve upon those things by making sure that our extinguishers are in good conditions. We looked at the basic technique of inspecting the cylinders or the fire extinguishers. We also did share as to what we should look out for, why sometimes you buy a new cylinder fire extinguisher over maybe 2 months, 3 months, 6 months, then somebody pitches and they say it is no longer functional because the pressure gauge has reduced to 0, and what causes those things and how we can avoid those basic tidbits in those regards. We also did share some basic tidbits that it is important to keep our knives sharp in our respective homes to ensure that they do not cut. It is also shown that mostly it is the blunt knives that are not sharp that cut even most, and so we need to ensure that we keep those ones very critically our knives sharp as it expected. So today we may end up starting with some of the basic precautions that Ghanaians take for granted. As we proceed further, we might look at what we need to do during shopping for the Christmas season, what we should be doing during our shopping, and then we'll look at other things as we proceed along. So listeners who missed us last week, just a brief recap from what we shared or we looked at last week on our topic time. We're looking at safety before the festive season or the Christmas festive season, and then we'll look at what we need to do during the festive season today, and then something we can look at after the festive season.
Okay, so let's start with the shopping.
So let's start with the shopping.
Yes.
Okay, so shopping is very important, and in this time of the season, we need to take very, very good care of ourselves while we are going to shop. And one of the key things that happens around this festive season is we have, for your personal safety, I'll categorize them into probably about 7 sections. Firstly, it talks about your personal safety. What you need to take note of during this festive season when shopping is to avoid crowds, because now everybody wants to go to the shop mall. Everybody wants to go to the shop. Sometimes a lot of people go to the malls and the shopping centers, and they are not actually going to do anything, just to go have a look, take pictures, and just make fun there, but not actually purchase anything. So the best thing to do for a personal safety is to avoid the crowd. That is, you try as much as you can to shop during the off-peak period, hours that most people will not be in that particular place. That's to reduce the risk of accidents and pickpocketing. And take note, there is an increase in pickpocketing over this festive during this festive season, and so you need to take note of it. Try to avoid shopping during the peak hours. Everybody knows that Saturdays and Sunday, everybody goes there to shop. So it's either you try as much as you can to avoid during those peak periods, and between that time, after 3, 4, everybody goes to the shop. So instead of going around that time, it's advisable to do your shopping a bit earlier. If you can do that during the weekday, where you don't have too much people in the shopping centers.
Hello. Hello. Oh boy. Technology.
Broadcasting live from Anaji, on top of a Huntaman Rural Bank, Takoradi. This is Radio Max 105.1 FM, your magic music station.
Welcome to the Orange Lounge with HKO Live.
When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet, will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheeks? Darling, I will be loving you.
Right,
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry about that. Let's go on.
I think the network, if it goes, let's try the telecell, the 050.
All right.
Maybe that may be better.
All right. So please go on.
Okay, so we're just so continuing. We looked at keeping your
When your legs don't work like they used to before, and I can't sweep you off of your feet, will your mouth still remember the taste of my love? Will your eyes still smile from your cheeks? Darling, I will be loving you till we're 70. And baby, my heart could still fall as hard at 23. And I'm thinking about how people fall in love touch of a hand. Well, me, I fall in love with you every single day, and I just wanna tell you I am. So honey, now.
Yeah, hello.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Technology is fighting us, but we are tougher than that. Please go on.
All right. So I did say that we should try as much as we can to keep our valuables secure during this period of shopping. Carry essential items. Carry only essential items and keep wallets and phones and keys in your front pocket instead of your back pocket. And most of the time, your back pocket is when you are walking in a crowd, people get to touch you, and you feel people touching you, but you end up not knowing that most of the people are rather than pickpocketing you. So it's important that you keep those items rather in your front pocket, so that in case somebody is trying to do any of those things, you are likely to note those ones. The second thing to look out for is your health and your hygiene during this particular period. It's important that you try as much as you can to ensure that your health is very, very important to you. And so we encourage that you use sanitizers that has been in the practice of late. But if there's no time because COVID is over, most people tend not to use it again. But we encourage people to use hand sanitizers as much as we can to ensure your safety, your health safety during this particular period. And because we head into the Hamatan, it is getting hazy and dustier within secondary Saturday. And so we encourage you to use your mask. So we encourage you to mask up in crowded places, wear your mask to minimize your exposure to germs. And then we encourage you to stay hydrated, because you'll be doing shopping, moving from place to place. You are likely to get yourself tired, but you need to get yourself hydrated in the process. The third thing is to look out for your traffic and your parking safety. In recent times, most times after people go shopping, you'll be driving and all of a sudden a vehicle will just pass by, a motorbike will tell you, sorry, your back tire is flat, please stop and take a look at it. Most of those things are not safe. If you need to do that, drive to a well-lit area, an open space, before you end up stopping, to avoid being attacked by any unscrupulous beings or personnel in there. So we encourage you to also park in a well-lit area, choose a secure parking spot, and avoid isolated areas. So it's important that whilst you are parking in the parking lot, make sure where you are parking is open, where people can see you. And in most places, one thing we normally don't do in here is we don't follow the parking rules. If they say reverse parking, let's try to do reverse parking. So it's easy for people to spot your items or spot you when you are going to your vehicle or when somebody is going towards your vehicle. And we encourage you to be friendly with the security personnel within the parking areas, so that if somebody else is getting close to your vehicle or towards something that is there, because you engage the security, they will be able to identify, this is not a person who spoke to me in relation to this vehicle. So they'll be able to speak or try to confront anybody that is getting into your vehicle. We encourage you to also practice emergency preparedness. It is important that when you enter into a shopping mall or a shopping center, ask them about their emergency exits. It's one thing most of us don't do. We just enter, and we enter through one way and we exit through the other way. That's all we know. But each and every shopping center has various degrees of emergency exit points.
Are you saying the ones at Market Circle and those small shops, they have?
Those shops, small shops do not have.
So because those ones they are one way in, one way out.
What most of them are doing now is they try to put the shelving in such a way that the shelves is separate the in and then the out. That is good though, but we encourage you, whilst you are going to some of those places, you need to be wide open. Even those ones sometimes have emergency exits. They might have a window at some point that in the event that the entrance is blocked or there's an emergency there, you can break through the window and exit. And so those are other areas you may need to look out for.
Okay.
But if you go into those small shops, most of them, the kiosks and those do not have those things. And so we encourage you to take note of your personal safety when you are going into some of those areas of shopping. So in the bigger malls, in the bigger shopping center, ask about the emergency centers, emergency exits, because they are big, and then you can really get caught up. In those areas also, because they are big and have a lot of things, they also produce a lot of fire hazard. In case fire comes up on one end, it's easily to be able to transmit it to all the other parts of the building, and so you need to identify your exit places so you can escape in the event of any emergencies in that place. It is important that you let somebody know you are going into specific places to shop. Inform someone about your whereabouts if you are shopping alone, that in the event that something goes wrong, they cannot identify, they will be able to follow up on you and ensure your safety at each and every point in time. So please, let's take note of that, and then we try as much as we can. If you are shopping with children, which most of the time we do, we take the kids out and we are with them, please supervise them closely. Because it's the first season, it gets crowded and you get a lot of people, you can get your kids missing in the process of that. The other day, in one of the shopping centers in Tekwe, they were announcing that I was in there, and then somebody's daughter was found out was missing because of the crowd, and was brought to the announcement sections, and they are announcing, they called the name, and then they asked about the parents who she was in the shopping center with, and they had to call their parents, their names, to be able to locate their work. So please pay close attention to your kids in this festive season to ensure that you don't lose them in an event that you happen to be shopping with them. Okay. It's also to ensure that you carry the appropriate funds. Now we are trying to go digital. We try to avoid cashless economy. So it's also important to avoid too much cash on you. There are certain places they won't take your cards and other things. They only take physical cash. So please try as much as you can to minimize the exposure of cash. What you could do is pick some amount and keep it in your pocket a little bit, and keep the mass of it in your purse or your wallet away from public view. Once you are in shopping, there are other deviant characters also in the shopping center. Once you pick up your purse, you open it, you see, wow, these are huge sums of money in this person's purse. It begins to become a target for anybody to rob or to attack in the process. And so we encourage you to pick a small, segment them into your pocket or into certain things, small envelopes on your pocket. You know, I have only 500 here, 200 here, 100 here. So when you are buying or you are removing it, you remove only maybe 200, it's only 200, that's it. But if you go removing maybe 1,000, 2,000 in your wallet, and you are making payments, you are really eyebrow for people to get to look at what you are looking for or what you are doing. And so please take note of that. We also encourage that once you are doing that, try and plan for your shopping. Plan for the shopping and know what you are going to buy, what's at each and every point, and what you'll be able to do there. And try to shop early to avoid last minute rush. Most of the time, Ghanaians, we are very good at last minute shopping. And so we encourage that. And once you do last minute shopping, you are hard up with time. Everybody is also there, and that doesn't augur well for your own safety in the process of those that shopping. So please take note. Don't do last minute shopping. Monitor your spending, whatever you are spending. Please take note of it. Set your budget and stick to it, and avoid impulse buying in this particular period. And most of the time, the things you don't budget for are rather those that take you to very unsecure places, exposing you to harm and possible unsafe situations in there. So briefly, those are some of the things we need to take note of when we are going to do our shopping. Now, when we finish the shopping and we come home, please take note of when you are disposing the boxes. When you buy a new TV, a new blender, a new microwave, please don't just take the empty boxes and just dump them into your waste bin for the Zoom Lion, and for the other waste management companies to come and pick. Once you pick or put your empty boxes outside, anybody that is walking by knows just to identify that this person has bought valuable items and materials. So robbers also, during this time, that is one of the key things they also do. They go through your rubbish and to identify the valuable items that they could pick, they could identify from it and make you become a target. So if you buy a new microwave, you buy a new blender, you buy a new kettle or whatever it is, or an air fryer, please don't just pick the empty boxes and just throw them outside. It's advisable to fold them back, fold them nicely, pack them somewhere, and wait when the waste collecting companies are coming to pick it up. Quickly just give it to them, they pick it up and they go with it at once. But once you leave those things outside, they see your boxes. This person has bought a new fridge, he's bought a new laptop, he's bought a new disk. You become a target for robbery. And so let's take note of that and avoid it. That's one key mistake a lot of people do. We do in our part of the world, we just throw anything anywhere. And then we ended up giving information to our robbers who comes in there to come and rob us, not knowing that we have given them information that we have these valuables in our facility for them to come and take note of. So those are some of the basic things we need to take note of when we are shopping during this festive season.
Okay. Very insightful. Thank you so much. It's now 15 minutes after 9 p.m. You're listening to the Orange Lounge here on Radio Max 105.1 FM on our segment called Topic Time. We are looking at safety at home during, before, and then after the Xmas festivities. We are on the phone with Mr. Innocent Asema. Mr. Asema is a professional health and safety expert. Okay, I was reading around and I found a few things that we can also do to ensure safety at home. And I figured that the most common ones that we have or we know of are something like first aid kits at home, right? And then having a deadbolt, we normally call it some crocro. In fancy, they call it crocro behind our doors. But I know, yes. Meanwhile, other places they have bars that they put behind the doors and all of that. I don't know if we can have a look at some of those things as well as then we'll delve also a bit into the technological aspect of things, like smart doorbell, emergency numbers, not leaving kids or children alone in the house, and even using strong password. I didn't realize it's also supposed to be a safety measure to have a good look at as well. So if you have, say, a Wi-Fi in your home and your password is quite weak, it can also be used to expose you, because then it means that people can get into your system if you've allowed your system to have a full view over your Wi-Fi system. Then once a person breaks into it, they can view what you have on your laptops and computers in the house as well. It's a safety issue. Okay.
So
yeah.
So we looked at, so that goes as to our security when we are home. During this festive season, it is important that we try as much as we can to ensure that our security back at home is also very important. Reason being that most of the time you are most vulnerable in your happiest moment. So in your happiest moment where all of us are having fun, making merry, it is also the time that we are also most vulnerable. most of the time you get to know that between 30th and then the 2nd of January, most of the time when people are excited about the new year, 31st night, what night service and all those things, most times, good 24th, Boxing Day, going out, anchors, most of the time, those are the times people also end up being robbed of their valuables in their respective homes, because excitement is there. People get to drink, people get to over party, and so your defense mechanisms are switched off in those periods. And so we encourage that during this festive season, try as much as you can to lock your doors and your windows. Now, it's just unfortunate that in our part of the world, we unfortunately cage ourselves in the verge of trying to protect and keep ourselves secure. And so we do a lot of things to keep ourselves safe, but in the event of a safety or emergency, we end up getting ourselves entrapped. One of them basically is our burglar proofing system. There are modernized ones that are in there which are able to slide. So you can slide them in and then they lock on themselves. But most of the ones we have, they are all the fixed type. So that in the course of an emergency, it becomes a very difficult thing to exit the facility. But we encourage that once you are trying to keep that, make sure that your doors are locked and your windows are also locked. Most of the time, especially the kitchen doors, the exit doors from the kitchen areas, most of the time, that is where people tend to use, because somebody just went out, threw water away, forgets to lock the kitchen door, and so he or she leaves it there. Just bang the door, forgetting to lock it up, and so it becomes a route for people to use and then get you attacked in there. So ensure that your doors are locked very well. After you lock, make it a point that one of you go around to inspect the doors that have been locked, and be sure that you go and do that. Most of the time, we say, okay, Yankoda. But later in the night, you wake up and find the cat is in the room, in the kitchen. The door was not locked properly. So you need to inspect the door, make sure it is locked, and then check it up again before you sleep. Now, behind it, we also use what we call it a crossbar. To prevent anybody who wants to come. You put a crossbar behind your doors to protect it from anybody from intruding or from anybody coming in. It's important to do that. There is also now a device, we call it the door alarm. As it's installed inside, so the one who is outside will not know that it's installed. As soon as the door is open, the alarm will start sounding. Okay. And it's really loud. Very loud sound, and that will scare away the robbers or anybody who is coming to steal. There are also what we call motion sensors, detectors. While it's also common now, you install them at vantage places. Nobody even knows that it's a sensor. You trigger them and then you just key them in, and once you go to sleep, anything that crosses it, alarm will sound. Okay. So those are also very good things you can install in our rooms and our facilities. You can also install timers. That will use automatic timers for your lights to either come on or go off. It also senses. Once anybody gets into the environment, the sensor picks the motion and then the light will just shine at once. It just come on automatically. So if the person is coming to rob and then is in a dark place, as soon as he enters, the sensor picks the motion and the lights come on. Then the person, if it's a robber, definitely getting to see lights, will tend to run away. So we try to look at those ones as well. We try as much as we can. We encourage that when some people have a security password on some of our things, when you have your password, please ensure that your passwords are very, very protected. Because somebody can just take your password and then use it for any other thing. It's advisable that maximum within 6 weeks, you must change your password.
6 weeks?
Whatever password, maximum within 6 weeks, you must change your password.
You must change
your password.
Especially with your either your internet, your emails, and other passwords, it's always important that you change them. And we also encourage that you mix them. Don't just use, most of the time, you pick somebody, and then before you realize, you're able to guess their password. If it is not their date of birth, it is their daughter's name, or it is their husband's name, or their husband's date of birth, or their firstborn, or their lastborn. That is what you come out to know, that within this, you are likely, all of you, the people in the studio there, if you ask most of them, there's a likelihood that out of everybody there, you find a trace of something of their personality around their password.
True.
So it's important that you vary. If you are going to use this, you have to use the alphanumeric, call it alphanumeric and symbols. You use alphabet, you use numbers, you use symbols. So if, let's say, your name is, let's say, Osei, instead of using the O as the O there, you can use the number 0.
Okay.
And mix it up. The E there, instead of using the E in your name, you can go and use the pound sign symbol. So you vary it and mix it up and use numbers and use figures and mix it up with uppercase, capital letters, small letters, and mix them up.
Okay.
It's very important because right now technology is such that even though it's very good for us, others are using it wrongly. Over the week, somebody just called, please, you got a data now, and we are sending you a code for you to be able to activate the data you just bought.
Hey.
So all of a sudden, they just send you an OTP number, and you just, if you are not careful, you just pick it up. You just, okay, so what's the OTP number? Mention that allow for us so we can be able to activate the system for you.
Wow.
And they do it so smartly that if you are not wise, you fall for it.
Okay.
And the thing comes up just after you have done the purchase. So if you are not careful, you think, oh, because I just purchased this data, these people are doing this, and that's why they are calling you for this and that.
Yeah,
and now there are a lot of promotions. Go ahead.
About that, I noticed a while back that whenever I go to a Momo vendor to do a transaction, and usually you will shout your numbers and the transaction amount you want to do to them. I noticed a while back that whenever I do that verbally, as soon as I leave the place, it's not even like 15 or 20 minutes thereafter, somebody calls me, trying to play a trick on me about how much I either deposited or whatever activity I did over there. So I stopped. What I then started doing was I'll write everything, my number and how much I am transferring or whether I am depositing to my account, and then give it out to the vendor. And I noticed that thing stopped. So it means, then I realized that there are boys or there are people who come just hanging around where you are doing these transactions and basically listen out for information, and especially the amount that you are transacting the business with. Then they try to just manipulate and hopefully make a profit off you. Anyway, that's just in addition to what you're saying.
Ongoing. Because now even some of the vendors, because you allow cash out. Mm-hmm. And some of the vendors have linked with other people, other vendors, on other places. So while you are calling the number, somebody else is dialing it at another place because they would have made a call to that person and then ask that person to rather take the cash out.
Wow.
And when you do the cash out, you receive notification. So they are standing with you, and then they tell, okay, but there's a money and this and this and that. Before you realize, the other person they will have withdrawn the money, and they will tell you the matter. It didn't come to us.
Wow.
And once you are there with them, you attest to it that it didn't come to you, to them.
Interesting.
But the money is gone from your account.
Interesting.
So we just this week there was a case, a colleague like that. When they tried doing this and then they asked him to mention the name and he didn't do that, before he realized the credit he had on his phone, they were able to just transfer the credit, took the credit that he already had on his phone and transferred it to another number.
Okay.
They got serious and he was telling me what they got was 6 CDs. They got angry and just transferred the 6 CDs that was left on his phone and then they took that off.
I see.
So in this particular season, people are really desperate for a lot of things, and we have to take note of it and try as much as we can. Now, most people will be traveling. We encourage you to
before we do the travels, there is one thing I've noticed about residential places, especially in Sekondi Takoradi. I just don't understand why people don't like putting on their security lights at night, especially the ones in their balconies, at the back of their buildings. I don't know how much electricity they are saving by doing that. I have not worked that data out. But I feel if we are providing security for ourselves, it's a collective thing. So why would you want somebody else's light to brighten your space and then you will not put us off on yours to buttress or add to what the person is providing you? Because where I live, Charlie, at night, if not for some of the blocks using street lights on those blocks to brighten those places, I'm telling you, some of the places are totally dark because people just don't put on lights in their balconies. It is completely dark every night, and I don't know how much they are saving as a result of all of that. Hold on, Nana wants to say something.
Yeah, I want to just chip in connection with the Momo issue that you just were just saying. What someone said was that normally, if you go to the Momo vendor, just look around because they use some cameras fixed over there. So as you are dialing, they will notice your PIN code. That's some of the fraud things that they've been doing. Then, as just said too, there are some so that whenever you are making a withdrawal, they ask you of the number. As soon as you mention the number and everything, someone is at a different end who is doing the transaction for which you don't know. And after doing that, the person said it had not received it. So what you need to do during this Christmas is, as soon as you get to any vendor, just be vigilant. Make sure that
just write your
number.
And
no, the person even receiving the number is a victim. No, it's not like it's also a call, or it's part of those who are doing that deals.
Okay.
Who makes a call?
So perhaps the best place to do your transactions will be the service providers, their spaces, right?
No, but who is the service providers? If you go to them during this Christmas, if they are going, they will be out of service.
Oh, they'll be working. Some of them will
25th. Where are you going to get? What happens to you? Do you know how to put? No, there are certain things, circumstances beyond your control. This cholera outbreak that has just happened, and you are there. There's a situation whereby you need to rush to the hospital. You need to get money.
The hospital is one Jimomo.
Hospital? Just a few.
Okay. Anyway,
just that people need to be vigilant. Whenever you go to a merchant, no matter how it is, just as you are standing there doing your transaction, just look around. If you can see anything that you suspect to be a camera, you can equally draw an attention that this is what you people are doing, and I'll report you. And
like what I say may be right, but what if the person is also using it for his or her own protection? Because there has been instances whereby you see Momo vendors will be robbed, some even stabbed and all that.
Yeah.
So I think it's also what if it's for their own protection.
All in all, you're supposed to be a bit more precautious take precaution wherever you are, because
what she's saying can also be right. But in a situation whereby the camera, it should be set in a manner that has to pick. But this one
is pointing on the phone.
Pointing on where you are standing.
What's this should happen, people?
And you can, if you have seen some, especially I saw one in Accra. And when you are there and you are making it, like everything, whatever transaction is going on your phone,
everything.
Someone can view it.
All right.
And they pick your code. It's the code that they want. And they can do every transaction they want to do with your code.
You have to find they have access to the code there.
Yeah, because as for the number, you give it voluntarily.
You give it voluntarily. Now, what is left? And the number, they can just decide to get your number because you are there and you are doing a transaction. And the person over there is part of the team.
Okay. Let's finish with Eno and hello.
Okay.
So you were doing travels with us here.
So before we go to travels, with the subject you just raised, you identified that most times during going through technical, most of the houses, that the buildings that are seen, most of the peripheral light, the switches are outside. So you get to the corridor, and then the light, the switch is outside the corridor for it to be turned on. So, and most of the people, for residential areas, they come back early, maybe by 5, 6 behind. Once they get inside, they don't come out again. So some also feel if you're coming out, to just come and switch the light on and go back in. And so most people unfortunately tend to leave those things off. So what we could also do is now we have what we call the solenoid switches.
The photo
install one on it, and that solenoid uses the sensor. It uses the day and the night. Once it is lit in the night, once it's dark, the light automatically comes on. Once the day comes in, it goes off on its own. It avoids the issue with coming back, going in, and coming out to switch it. So that is something we could also, or we could get our electricians to probably do the wiring that the peripheral lights are inside, so you can just turn them on from inside rather than coming outside to come in and do.
These days, what the setup is a two-way system. So basically, you can put it on from the inside and as well as outside. So I feel for where I stay, it's just deliberate on the part of some of the residents, just that they are depending on you putting on your outside light for them to benefit.
They are cutting down costs.
Cutting down cost at my expense, right? Okay. All right. So I think the travels will be our final bit. We'll see if we can do another bit of, because there's so much to tackle.
There's so much to talk about.
Yeah.
So let me box some of these things in here and look at some of the precautions we need to look out for that we as Ghanaians we normally take for granted that we need to take note of. So let's start from the road safety. Now, for travels, when you're about travel, it's important to, if you have to fly or go, mostly it's important to try not to share too much of your travel itinerary.
Okay.
With a lot of people. Most times, even social media is very good, but it's not everything you have to put on social media. Your house, you are there with only your spouse and your family, and you are maybe on a holiday in maybe Bahamas or somewhere, and you're out there and then on your social media, every information about you is on the social media. It's on Facebook, it's on Twitter, it's on whatever it is. You have given Tuesday to people to come and rob you because you are not there. Robbers most of the time pick information about people from the social media. So please take note of that. And once you are traveling, ensure that you are wearing your seatbelt. Many people neglect wearing your seatbelt, especially the people sitting at the back of the vehicle. And most of our public transport don't have seatbelts. You sit in Trotro, they don't have anything like seatbelts, or most of our commercial vehicles. But if you are in your own private vehicle, you are in more commercial vehicles that have a seatbelt, please use them. The seatbelt is not only for the passengers in front, it's for everybody. That is why it is in there. If you are riding a motor bicycle, most times the rider may be wearing the helmet, and then the one sitting at the back is not wearing. Please take note of that. Let's try as much as we can and avoid those things that we have to take note of. When you are taking of water, please drink water that is very, very wholesome or very, very clean. Most of the time, unfortunately, the sachet water we have, most of them, the conditions under which they are produced cannot be guaranteed. And with the outbreak of cholera, please take note of your water. Drink water that is properly filled or properly produced. If you can, just drink the bottled water if possible, or get your own water bottle from home, put your water in and go out with it. Please take note of that. And please don't eat food anyhow. Store your food. And one thing that is coming, we need to take note, because of the festive season, we are going to have meat, vegetables, and other things. We end up doing what we call food contamination, cross-contamination. You have raw products and processed food, and then you put them all in the same fridge and covered and protected. Then the blood from the chicken or the goat is dripping and falling onto your vegetables or to other items, contaminating or mixing other things, and that needs to be checked up. Please let's ensure that we protect ourselves from those places. And whilst in all our environments, please, in technology, use strong passwords, as we said earlier on. Avoid public Wi-Fi for transactions, especially you are going to, let's say, some of the eateries in town. They tell you free Wi-Fi. They give you free Wi-Fi there. You just go to free, so I just keep the and I just do something. No, please avoid using those public Wi-Fi for your transactions, especially your financial transactions or your emails and all those things. It's not good. Or some of them, they give you plug in the session, just plug it in and do your own thing, and they have cables there for you to plug. Some of the places have bags, we call it bags on it. Once you plug it in, they can pull all your data and everything without even knowing or information. So please take note of it whilst we are in there. And with our children, please, during this festive season, let's try as much as we can to pay good attention to your kids. When you are cooking in the kitchen, don't leave the kitchen for the kids. If there's something on fire, the saucepan, the handle, turn it inside, not outside. Because if the child is there, he reaches out for it, the whole oil or tea or whatever it is going to fall on the child. Let's keep our environment safe and ensure that we put ourselves in a very safe condition. It's important that we enjoy the Christmas safely or the festive season safely, and at the end of the day, we all get back home at the end of the day after the holiday safely. Your decorations, please, let's minimize them. When you have children under 5, the balls and all those toddlers that we also put on the Christmas tree and all those things, they can chew them, they can swallow it. Avoid those things. Prevent sharp items from skipping up around, and remove all those items, pin needles on the trees. Please keep them out of reach of our children, and try as much as you can to protect your children, your family, to ensure that we all stay safe during this festive season. Thank you very much. I think we'll wrap it up here. We have a lot of things to share. We'll look at other opportunities to look at other things. Thank you.
All right. We are indeed grateful for your time once again for tonight.
Before you go, just briefly, on the fireworks, we may be having people having knocked out fireworks. They are mini explosives. They can cause damage. Please, if you happen to do those things, there are even laws that ban some of those things in certain places. Please don't go exposing yourself to those particular fireworks. We know we're having bonfires and here and there. It can explode and it can kill. In Joburg last 2 years, somebody was just playing with it. They light it and then he had to release it before it explodes. Unfortunately, it exploded while it was in his hand. Unfortunately, he lost his eyes.
Wow.
Because when it explodes, there are flying particles that goes out with it.
Oh, goodness.
Unfortunately, he lost an eye in the process. So please, we know we're having fun. We have knockouts, whatever it is. But please, let's ensure it is done safely. Thank you.
All right. Listeners, you just heard Mr. Innocent Asima taking us through safety at home before, during, and after the Christmas. This has been a part 2 of our ongoing discussions to ensure that we are safe at home and wherever we find ourselves.